a small raised decking area exactly like this one here. Tools and materials needed for the job in question today are some timbers, some decking. We've got some blocks here today, but you can use pieces of slab if you've got them at home. We've got some membrane to kill the weeds off so the weeds don't grow through. We've got some exterior wood screws, spirit level, tape measure, pencil, hammer, jigsaw if you've got a jigsaw at home, or alternatively you can use a handheld saw, set square, a posi bit, a countersink bit, and we've got a drill driver. Right, okay, what we're going to do, we're going to work in this area that we've got here today. Obviously we've got our timbers, and what we're going to try and show you is just how to put some decking down off some raised timbers. I know that we're going to work on a 2 metre by 2 metre area. We've cut our timbers, we're join our timbers together so we make a square, and then we take it from there. Right, okay, the next procedure is, obviously I've already cut my timbers that I'm going to make my frame out of today, which is 4x2 timbers. This is tannalised timber, good exterior timber to use. So what we do is we get some of our exterior screws, and then just drive these in the ends, like so. And then what we want to do is get these in position, and we'll screw these in, so that will start to create our framework. As you can see, that's nice and tight in there. What we do this all the way around, screw it, so then we create our square, and then I'll show you how to raise it off the floor. Okay, now we've driven our last screw in, and as you can see, we've got our square. What we just do is just measure across our timbers, just to make sure we got 2 metres, which we have, 2 metres, and then we measure this way as well, and we've got 2 metres as well. So I know that is 2 metres squared. And then what we do is stick our membrane down, and then get our legs up to bring our decking off the floor. Right, okay, what I've done, I've cut 4 legs here today. Obviously, because I've cut the timber, it's quite raw on the end. What you want to do is just get yourself a little bit of oil or a little bit of varnish, and just rub this into the end grain of the timber, because obviously, like, you don't want the water penetrating that, should it do when the decking's on the floor. I'm quite happy because we're using an area 2 metres squared. You know, we're using a bit of 4x2 there. I'm happy that is substantial enough. Obviously, if you're working with 4x2 and your area is bigger, what you can do is just join your 2 timbers together, screw these together. I'll just show you just on this. So we just stick a couple of screws into our timbers, just like so. That actually gives you a bit more support if your area is bigger. And then what we want to do is we want to stick these in the corners of our framework, and then what we do is we raise these up and then actually screw through one side and the other side, and I'll show you that in a minute. Okay, like I said, we've cut our corner timbers where we're going to raise our decking off the ground. So what I want to do, if you've got somebody at home that can help you, like, just lift this off the floor to make your connections, it's always best to use 2 people, but obviously if you're on your own, it's a little bit more difficult and a little bit more tricky, but we give it a go. So what we do is we get a screw, and then we draw this through our timber. What you want to do is stick 3 screws in this, another screw on, and then what we do is stick one on this leg here. So just 1 screw into the face there, and that'll stop that from actually moving. And then what we want to do is create this procedure in every single corner. Right, okay, as I said earlier, we've got all our corner uprights fitted now. Now, obviously, we're working in an area here that's got no weeds, but obviously if you've got weeds and you've killed them off, then obviously you want to stick some weed membrane down. And what you do is you just put this underneath the whole area that you want to be covered. This will sit on the floor like so in the complete area, and that'll stop any weeds coming, like pushing through into your decking. Obviously, once you stuck your membrane down, then you can put your uprights in. So let's say we've put our membrane down in the whole area. what you want to do is obviously work out how level your base is. If your base is really out of level, then what you can do is obviously get yourself some sand and cement, put a dob and sand and cement on the area that you want to put your block, and then what you do is you put your block underneath and then put your timber on that, and as you can see that's raised off the floor, and then the water penetration underneath one of your legs will be very minimal. But obviously if that was sitting on the floor, the water's lying around it, it'll creep up. Although it's tantalysed timber, you know, it'll take a long time to rot, but it will eventually rot. But obviously, like once we've got our blocks down, then there's a good chance our timber won't rot. Okay, now we've stuck our 4 corner supports in, and we've got them on our blocks that we're using today. What we obviously need to do now is just make sure that we're pretty happy with the levels. I mean that looks spot on to me, which is good. And then what we want to do next is decide which way we want to lay our decking, whether we're going to lay it across this way or we're going to run off the fence this way. Obviously if we're running off the fence this way, our cross timbers need to go this way, and if we're going the other way, our timbers need to run the other way. And then what we do is, once we've decided which way we're going to run the decking, what we do is we get a few timbers across, and then we do on the same principle on the middle timbers. What we do is we stick some supports in, get some more blocks, put them on the floor, and that'll support this middle section. And we do this all the way through, so that'll take out any bounciness, because obviously if we don't support that, you'll find when you walk on it that'll start to bounce a bit. But obviously if we support it to the floor, then that'll be nice and solid. Once we get all our timbers in, then obviously we can start laying our decking then. Right, what I think we do on this area that we're working on today, we get three timbers running across. So obviously what you want to do is measure right the way across, find your centre, get your centre, mark your centre off, and then divide the sections up so we can get 3 timbers. So I know that we're 950 and then we'll go 475 either side. So that'll give us 3 timbers running across, and then obviously we can support them, like I said earlier, off of our blocks. Okay, what we'll do is draw our last screw in now. And as you can see, we've got all our cross members in to take our deck in. That's substantial enough for the area that we're working on today. And then what we always do and always double check is make sure we're nice and level, which we are. So we check our outer frame, yeah, nice and level. What I'll probably do in this area to stop the bounce, basically, if I don't put any supports under there, when you walk on your decking or you load it up with furniture, you'll find that'll bounce. So what I'll do is probably just stick another 6 blocks under this area. So what we do, grab ourselves a block, put that under the decking, place our timber onto our block, and then what we can do is just mark the back side like so, and then what I'll do is cut this bit of timber, place it on our block, another 3 screws in, and then do this in the area that I said. But obviously 6 blocks we're going to put there, so we'll cut 6 bits of timber, fix them, and then we'll move on to the next stage. Okay, that's our last screw in, and as you can see we've got 6 blocks down, got 6 uprights, and like I said, that will take all the spring out of that. That feels pretty solid. It's nice and level still on our level, and then you can put some uprights in on the outside legs if you want to, but I'm quite happy with that. So obviously the next procedure then is to start cutting and fixing our decking. Right, okay, now we've obviously finished all our framework and I'm happy with that. Now it's time to start fixing our decking. Now what we want to do is try and close off the sides. So what I've done, I've just cut you a little tiny bit of mock timber here, mock decking. So what we want to do is cut ourselves some lengths so we can close the face off and the sides, and then when we come to fit our decking to the top, we get a nice clean edge there. Obviously if we were to lay that on the inside edge first and then put our face on afterwards, then we've got a nasty bit of raw timber there, and we don't want that. So obviously cut yourself your face timbers first, get all these fixed in place all the way around on your 3 sides, because obviously your backside is up against the fence there. So get these fitted, then we can start fitting our top deck then. Okay, what we've done is we've stuck a couple of side pieces of decking on, and what we want to do is then obviously start doing our face. Now the best way to do it is obviously we want to countersink through the actual groove. You don't want the screw on the top section. So what we do is we're measuring. So if we measure in 100mm for now, and then we go 400 mil, and then what we do is we just get our countersink bit, run this through like so, and then what you want to do is obviously do this on the bottom side as well. 100 mil in, 400 mil in. I mean, you set out your countersink how you think's best for the area that you're doing. And what we do is countersink that, and then what we do is we fix this to the front face, which we do now. I hold that on there, get a screw. Like I said, it's a little bit tricky on your own, but hopefully Luke will go down the other end and just hold that for me if he wouldn't mind. That's it. That's what we do, just hold that nice and square. Just drive one of our screws in until it pulls up. Right this in. What you want to do is do this all the way along the front face, and then we've totally closed balled this, and then we'll move on to our deck then. Right, okay, now we've fitted our face decking onto our framework. It's now time to start fitting our deck into our frame. I've obviously cut a bit here earlier, and when you cut your decking, you'll find that the colour is different, because obviously we've got a raw bit of grain there now. What you need to do, a little bit of varnish or a little bit of oil, just rub that in, and that'll protect them raw cuts. So what we do, we just place this in position like so. Again, use your countersink, start fixing your cross members first in the groove provided. Countersink that in, get yourself a screw, screw this in. Then obviously I've got the face section, we'll just countersink that. And there you go, that's pulled right up there. And then what we do is we do this all the way along, and I'll just show you a little tip to keep your distances apart. What I'll do is grab another little tiny bit of decking here, and obviously you can cut yourself a spacer if you want, or you know, from a bit of timber. But what I normally do is just the screw that you're using, you can place in there, pull it tight, countersink your timber, and then obviously drive your screw home, and that creates a nice gap all the way along. As you can see, if we just pull that in, that gives us about a 3 to 4 mil gap, which is ample, because you'll find once the timber starts drying out, it can expand or contract. So that looks good to me. And then obviously continue this procedure all the way along until you finish your decking. That's it. And as you can see, we had a nasty bit of concrete there earlier today. It's taken us about an hour and a half to do this, and we've created a nice raised decking area.